What is up, everyone? Welcome to Gameweek 13 wildcard stream, basically. Special wildcard stream. Welcome to the podcast. I'm joined with two managers who are doing really well and playing wildcard as well. So that's why it's a wildcard special. I'm joined with Rush and Roy. How are you two doing?
Wildcard.
Very good, very good.
This is the creativity you see high up in the ranks.
No, I think it's just Arsenal being top of the league.
Roy made a prediction. Before the season started, he said, first 6 game weeks, Arsenal will be top.
Yep.
And then after that, he made another prediction saying, come end of before the World Cup, Arsenal will be top. And seems like it's still going to happen because City went and lost that game lost against Liverpool. So Arsenal have a 4-point lead right now.
Yep.
Yeah, so looking pretty right on top. So Roy is a very happy Arsenal fan right now.
And also predicted Spurs being shit, and they prove it today.
I think United were just too good today. That's all.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think so. We'll talk about some of the teams as well. But obviously, what we're going to do is we're going to mainly talking about wildcard. But if you're not playing a wildcard like myself, then you can see which players you probably should look to get into your team. So having said all of that, let's get straight into it. Season ticker. We're going to be looking at obviously some of the top teams who are right on top. You got the likes of City. You have your Arsenal, Liverpool, United also interestingly there, who have improved recently. You got West Ham still also there. Everton and Palace are now up as well. Palace were up. Everton is now also up. So hopefully my Pickford eventually returns clean sheets, which is the reason I bought him in, but we'll see. At the bottom, you've got the likes of Brighton. We all went and got Trossard. Those who are on a wildcard, you can wildcard him out. Those like me, need to take him out for a hit. You have Forest, Southampton, Leeds, and Leicester as well at the bottom. Mid-table, obviously, you got Chelsea and Spurs from the Big Six. So that's the season ticker until the end of the World Cup, until the World Cup, basically. Thoughts?
I mean, Man City and Arsenal, they got European games, but they pretty much qualified anyway. So their European team is going to be highly rotated. So I don't think you have too much impact on their Premier League games. Just one thing to point out. I mean, Liverpool as well, they pretty much qualified. So
yeah, I think especially like those teams should be fine in terms of rotation. We're coming to Champions League, so we wouldn't have to worry too much. United have also, I think, qualified. It's just that trying to get to that top spot is what they need to play for. So I think they play, where is it? They play Real Sociedad in the last game. So that they might still like try and do well until the end of the group stage. So that's a bit of a problem.
I think they might play a strong team against Sociedad because they want to finish top of the league, top of the group, so that they play one game less. I think that's what everyone is trying to do.
And go ahead.
No, go ahead.
And Spurs obviously in a very tough Champions League group. Still not really clear in that group who is going to go through, who's going to go top and everything. So there's all to hang in that, like in terms of balance, there's a lot in that. So that's currently where the situation is. But I think a lot of us, in terms of, especially those on wildcard, probably going to stack up on Arsenal and City mainly. And then obviously you got your other form players who we'll talk about as well. So having said all of that, the two of you have actually made a wildcard draft. But before we get to your wildcard draft, let's have a look at, so this is, I went to FPL Review, basically put my team ID in, and it tried to build a wildcard draft from 13 to 16 based on my current team value and whoever they thought were like good options. So some of these players might be in your team, some maybe not. I think the front line is slightly different to what you guys went. The midfield, there are a few exceptions. Something interesting I thought was Almiron. He is playing really well recently. And because Saint Max and Isaac are both out for some time, I think Almiron's position also is a bit more different now, so that's something to consider. The backline seems very heavy. I think you can cut it down a bit. At least that's what I think. Obviously, Cancelo is Cancelo, and maybe Trent also could be another option that people are thinking about. But yeah, thoughts on this team?
I mean, interestingly, it doesn't have Trippier, which I guess the dilemma that I'm facing is that Trippier is obviously, I got him at 5 mil, but he's still, if you want to get in the likes of Trent and Cancelo and also fit in Salah with a premium striker, which is actually Firmino, that's when it gets a bit tricky. So this team, obviously, yeah, that's where that funds are clearing up from, is from the back line. I know they got Cancelo, but the rest are pretty cheap options. And I guess this team is also not tripling up on City right now, which I mean isn't the worst thing because you could always swap Saka to Foden at any point. If you don't think, Foden is a good option against Brighton at home. But yeah, I mean, interesting. I mean, most of the players there are pretty much heaps of the teams that we're targeting for the wildcard. And it's got some good cover.
Yeah. Right? Anything?
I mean, Trent, right? Why spending so much money on him? Is that because Liverpool is playing against Forest?
No, well, if you go back to the ticker, right? Liverpool's fixtures, you have Forest, Leeds, Spurs, and Southampton. Out of the 3 you expect them to keep clean sheets. We saw they kept a clean sheet today as well, and Trent got 2 bonus points as well. So that's another reason. He's because of the amount of attacking. Obviously, defensively he's pretty bad, but attacking wise he does a lot. So he racks up the bonus as well.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching the Liverpool game this morning, and I think Liverpool were very lucky to not lose the clean sheet with Bowen missing the penalty. And defensively, Trent wasn't actually playing that well, so I was very surprised that he got the
2 bonus. Yeah,
which I was like, okay, because even the commentators were like, Trent playing so bad, and even the chance where Sucha could have almost go was pretty much because of Trent making a mistake. So I think you're not really, yes, bonus point is probably the bonus of having Trent, but it's more the attacking returns you're gonna get with him.
Yeah, that's the thing, because if you look at the teams, right, Forest, Leeds, and Southampton aren't the best defensive teams in the league. So compared to West Ham, they're not going to pose as much of a threat, and you would expect that Trent doesn't have to worry too much defensively in that specific situation. Spurs, obviously, tough game. It is what it is.
Interesting, yeah.
But I think you can still probably get away with not having Trent, because if you look at the sacrifices you're making, right, here it has Trent, you're sacrificing Foden. Who do you want? I would prefer Foden.
100%.
Yeah, but this is based on just like EV data and everything, so that is going towards Trent. But yeah, so you have to make sacrifices somewhere. Maybe even Salah. Do you really want Salah, or can you go someone else? Maybe like a Darwin Núñez. Those are the sacrifices you probably have to think and decide. So that's from FPL review. This is Roy's first draft, and before I just show before we go into this, you've made a second draft as well that just has Gabriel Jesus instead of Mitrovic. Yep.
So it really depends on tomorrow's game. If Mitrovic plays really well, I might be inclined to keep him. Otherwise, I'll go with Jesus, despite that one more yellow card he got suspended for 1 game. I'm just hoping he doesn't get a yellow card against Southampton and play against Forest. But if he does get the yellow card, I can change to Kedia straight away anyway, because I do want 3 Arsenal players in my team and 3 Man City players. I think that's what my team is based on. That's 6 top 2 team players as the base, then choose someone else and to supplement that. I've got 2 Liverpool players, 2 Crystal Palace players, Zaha and Guetta. I'm not too 100% sure on the keeper yet. I might change my mind before it kicks off. First game kicks off, so not too sure about the keeper. everything else I'm pretty set on. Because I do still have some money left over, so I could make changes from Zaha to someone else if I need to. So on my bench, I pretty much got 2 really cheap players, Andreas and Bruno, and just Trippier as a sub, really. I think that would take me over the line to game week 16, hopefully.
Fair enough. Shout out to also in the chat to Zodiac, who is top of the Football Chatbox Mini League. And I think right now he is, let me just check, top 2K in the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I think he was top 200 or something before the game started. But yeah, so doing really well as well. So shout out to him. Now, here's the question is Saka. So you've gone without Saka.
Yes, I'm always quite cautious about having 2 midfielders from the same team. With how Arsenal plays, it sometimes is on the left, sometimes on the right. That's why Arsenal is so difficult to play against, because we could attack from the left, we could attack from the right. Even though they do combine together as well. But I just feel like having 2 midfielders is a bit risky. I'd rather have someone else like Jesus up front, because he will cause the defenders troubles. I mean, it's a difficult situation, right? That's just me, really. I just don't like 2 players from the same position.
Prashant, any thoughts?
It's interesting. I mean, like, I know that Saka has obviously been a big talking point for the Game Week 13 wildcard. And I know even though he's a midfielder, he's probably pretty much the third attacker, right? Like, along with Jesus and Saka. I guess the other plus point with Saka, because he's on set pieces and penalties, which obviously has a bit more appeal. And the fact that Jesus is also on the 4th yellow card could also probably warrant a bit more attention towards Saka, because I feel like if Jesus gets yellow carded, yes, they'll bring in an extra striker, but I think the primary attack focal point will still be through Saka and Martinelli. And then it's a little bit tougher for you to, I guess, swap from Jesus to Saka. At that point, you might need to take an additional transfer. So I don't know.
I mean, the issue is, right, if you get Saka, who do I get rid of? Zaha?
True.
I would have done well. So I'm looking to get Saka, but that's at the expense of Andreas going. So I'll
get someone even cheaper.
No, I'll be packing the midfield, all 5 players.
Oh, okay.
So you guys are going like a 3-4-3. I'll be going a 3-5-2 basically. But yeah, I think that's the one. Everything else, I'm like, it's pretty solid, right? It basically writes itself, except for me with the goalkeeper, which none of us can really tell who is actually the best option. And maybe then it's just a question between the Arsenal player, which Arsenal attacker do you go for? And obviously everything else is just basically very similar. Like if you go now, I'll move it over to Roshan's draft. Again, very similar draft. You have Rhea in goal, who's been doing really well last few games. And also fixtures-wise, I looked at Rhea and I was like, fixtures are still pretty decent. I know Brentford are a bit lower, but Villa, Wolves and Forest, I think that's 3 clean sheets almost, the way they're playing. And City, the final game, it's fine. Final game. It is what it is. You never know what can happen.
Yeah. I'm not set on my goalkeeper yet, but I just think there's a lot of options in goalkeeper. I think I was looking into Kepa before as well. But the problem with Chelsea is that the fixtures are...
Yeah, the fixtures aren't the
terrible.
best. Yeah.
It's terrible, actually. I thought it was good, but it's actually terrible.
It's actually bad.
Then I guess it comes down to Crystal Palace. Everton, I'm trying to stay away from. I know they're the top of the league, but top of the ticker. I'm just trying to stay away from Everton.
Smart man.
And I've already taken out Pope, who I've obviously had for the last couple of weeks. So I think I need to start clearing funds for my game with 13. But if I didn't need funds elsewhere, I probably would have stuck with Pope, to be honest, because Newcastle have been playing really well.
Interesting. You've gone for Almiron, which is again according to the previous one we saw, that Almiron coming up, and we'll look at the numbers as well. His numbers have also improved recently. And obviously you have also gone for a front three, but you've gone double Arsenal and triple City.
At the moment, yes. I mean, again, I'm waiting on, as Wes said, about Mitrovic tomorrow to see how he plays.
Yeah.
And then it's a punt on, do I want to keep Mitrovic or do I want to start?
Yeah, fair enough.
I mean, mind you, Arsenal's got a game tomorrow as well.
Yes. Yeah, the Europa League game. So have to see how they do in that. But then again, fixtures are still pretty good, assuming no injuries happen. Yep.
Yes, exactly. Injury is a concern, right? Whether we play Saka or not, because it's an important game.
Yeah.
Arsenal wants to win that game. So I imagine we'll play a very decent team tomorrow.
Fair enough. Zodiac is saying, if it was my wildcard, I would go only for 2 attackers and 5 midfielders. That's another. Yeah, so that's something as well. I guess that's the difference between, because if you look at like Tony, Haaland, and Mitrovic, out of those 3, I think it's Mitrovic that's probably right now removable. If you look at the next 4 fixtures,
True.
Because Leeds have only 2. Fulham have 2 decent fixtures and then 2 hard fixtures after that. So you need a striker somewhere, or you need to drop him to a 4.3 or something.
Yeah, I think for me, like the big changes I've been tinkering around with this team is I want to try getting in Trent. And obviously Saka as well to go into 3-5-2. But then I also want to go 3-5-2 with a potential to upgrade to a Liverpool striker. And that's the part I'm struggling with funds. Yeah,
because I think Darwin Núñez could become a decent option.
Correct. Núñez or even Firmino, because obviously Jordan's out till in the World Cup.
Yep.
DS is out. So there's a lot of Liverpool attackers you can jump on. The problem is the pricing. Double up on defense because you got a better option in defense.
Fair enough. And he says he would go for 1 premium. I'm assuming the premium being Haaland. So
interesting question on Salah though.
Yeah.
Is he a must-have?
No. At least I think so. At the moment. See, here's the thing, right? This is the problem with Salah right now. So I bought him on the wildcard. Absolute disaster. My rank has went down along with it. But like I watched the game, the Liverpool game today. I watched the first half and the latter end of the second half. The first half he was wide, way too wide. Firmino went off. Núñez also went off. Salah was more. Oh no, actually Núñez went off. Salah was more central. He was playing more central. Because you had Elliott and Carvalho then playing on those wing positions. So that the problem is if he's playing out too wide, it's an issue for me. I still don't like him because he will get you points, but he's not going to deliver a 13 million, what you would expect a 13 million asset to deliver at this moment, I think. But the fixtures, the problem is the fixtures are still too good. And Zodiac mentions a good point. Is like I think people pick Salah because the fear of missing out.
Yes,
that's the thing.
Yeah.
I think, and I think I was in the group chat like a couple of days ago, just like in so much fear because I didn't have Salah this week and everyone around me had Captain Salah. I think all your points are right in terms of formation. The fact that he's playing super wide and obviously it's appealing. If you look at a player in general in terms of where the player plays, but the problem is, end of the day, it's Salah. You know, it's the fear of missing out, like you said.
Yeah.
I'd rather just keep him there and he does nothing than just not have him and just live through the whole game week just watching what's going to happen with Liverpool. But I think the fixtures are really good. I am hoping for a turnaround with Salah and trusting Salah.
Yeah, fair enough. So we'll see what happens. I mean, you're bringing him in. I think now the form will go up. We'll see. But having said that, right? I was watching the United game. I was like, if I had the option to drop Salah right now and take in Rashford, I don't mind doing it. But maybe I would probably look into doing it in the last 2 game weeks where United's fixtures are better. And then obviously Salah has 1 tough game. I think Spurs. The last game obviously very easy, but yeah. So that's something that's been on my mind in terms of if I had the option to move Salah to someone, I don't mind doing that. And then you can upgrade your striker to like a Darwin Núñez if needed.
Yeah, I think that's the thinking, right? If you don't have Salah, have Núñez as a striker, then you could have Saka as well in there.
Yeah, that's the thing. So those are some things to consider. The one more final thing I would mention is the closer we get to the World Cup, then probably there'll be two different states of minds. Like some players might not want to risk it to getting injured before the World Cup. Players who are not going to the World Cup, the likes of Salah, the likes of Haaland, they could probably be better options to own as well.
Good idea. Good point.
That's also something I guess we're not speaking about right now, but it might be something that we might need to consider. But right now, at least players still have something to prove. So they still have something to fight for. So everyone will give their best. But the moment those preliminary squads are announced, then it's GG.
Yeah, very good point.
So those are basically the wildcard drafts at the moment. This is the data from Fantasy Football Scout. Last 6 game weeks, team attack. Newcastle on top for team attack, which is why I told you, like Almiron, pretty decent option. I'm not selling Almiron here, but I just think he's a decent option. He's playing really well. City, we all want part of City. That's why you have triple City. West Ham still there. Bowen, unfortunate. I don't know if Bowen will still take penalties. Skamaka apparently has good penalty record as well, so something to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, but Skamaka, he wasn't playing that well.
No, he wasn't.
He was playing so bad. I don't know. I didn't really rate him. I watched the game and I was like, this guy's playing so like. Antonio actually came off the bench and was playing really well.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, he's trying to make a point, but Skamaka was just awful.
I think we'll have to wait and see. I don't think West Ham, I probably wouldn't really go there anymore. Maybe defense, I think still like people who have Zuma can keep Zuma. It's not a bad option. Bowen could still be a differential punt. Apart from that, I probably wouldn't touch anyone else.
I think Zuma, the problem is very injury prone.
Yeah, that's the one thing.
Well, he kind of pulled his leg or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, I think Bowen could just be still a wait and watch.
Yeah.
And there could be a couple of better fixtures.
Yeah, I think Bowen is too expensive to be a gamble.
And then obviously you have Liverpool and Spurs in that make up the rest of the top. At the bottom you got Crystal Palace, Leeds, and Fulham and Everton. Which time is ticking. Having said that, Crystal Palace also Zaha. Oh my god, there was talks about getting rid of Zaha as well. So things to monitor. Not easy.
I mean, this is the thing, right? I think I really actually want to get rid of Zaha and get Saka now, since Jesus is kind of one yellow card away. If I can make that work, I might do that.
Yeah. Do you know what? I had a different thought as well with Zaha. Like I got Zaha as well at 7.1 and he's kind of 7.5. So I'm kind of like invested value-wise in him. But he's kind of stopping me from getting Saka as well. The problem, I was thinking about downgrading Zaha to Eze.
That's not bad.
Was pretty much playing the same central on the side, attacking. And he's got returns in the last 3 game weeks. 2 out of the last 3 game weeks. He scored today, and he scored 2 weeks ago as well, 2 game weeks ago as well. And that could be that Almiron spot for me at 5.6 for a guy who starts every game, and that could give me more funds to do Saka. I don't know. Like the problem with, you can see Palace's stats down here. Yes, Zaha's on penalties. Yes, he's their main focal player, but he's just not delivering consistently multiple returns. At max, he's getting 1 goal. And even that could just be a penalty. So I don't know. I'm not super sold on keeping Zaha, even though his fixtures are too good next 4 game weeks. I think there's a case to still not go without Zaha attack-wise. I mean, stats are clearly showing you that.
Yeah, fair enough. There is possibly a case. That's the 6 game weeks. This is season data. Season data, your top 3, City, Arsenal, and Liverpool, basically. And obviously at the bottom, you got, again, Forest, Bournemouth, Palace, Fulham. So that's the season data. Now, on to defense. Villa are right on top of here, which is what I went and ended up. I was a bit shocked that Villa were right on top.
Really?
Yeah, for the last 6 game weeks.
Wow.
I was a bit shocked on that. So which is why I went, okay, I'm going to go and get the season data as well, just in case. But Newcastle, after that, I think Newcastle are playing really well, playing Spurs next. And I actually wouldn't mind starting Trippier, to be honest. Because Trippier, if they keep a clean sheet, Trippier chances of getting on bonus are really high. That's the one reason. I don't mind playing Trippier in big games. Brighton, Arsenal. Brighton, I don't know what's up with Brighton's attack, but their defense is all right, not too bad. Arsenal and then City is your defense. At the bottom, you got Brentford, Everton. All of these teams are where we're looking for goalkeepers. Southampton and Fulham. Although I do think Brentford are still pretty decent. Even though they're conceding a lot, they're not conceding XG. They are not conceding goals. So that's a good thing for keepers at least. Season data, obviously you're, again, Arsenal and City right on top. Followed by, you obviously have Brighton, West Ham and Newcastle. Last sixth in this. It's interesting. They've improved. I don't know what's happening. But yeah, that's the season data for defense.
Well, Villa's actual stats aren't really showing the fact that the actual results aren't showing much.
Yeah.
I'm not very convinced with Villa this season at all.
Yeah.
Both attack and defense. But yeah, Newcastle have been really good. They've just been standout performers and they've just turned it around with the new coach and new management and new players. So yeah, definitely interesting team.
One team I'll add is that could see improving is United. I think they've improved in terms of system. And if you wanted a 4.6, I think right now, Dalot is not a bad option, to be honest. Attacking returns.
You should bring back Harry Maguire.
No. Let's not go there. But no. But I think he could also be.
Down the tunnel.
Yeah, he went to meet Ronaldo. Went to meet Maguire.
I think he's been preparing for the World Cup since the first game of the season. Making sure he doesn't get injured.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's fine. I don't care about England. So yeah, that's just one team I think could improve because fixtures are also pretty decent after Chelsea game. So that's the season data defense. Now there's a question about what's up with Salah. Kind of discussed about that, but we'll look into the stats as well. This is expected points based off FPL review. Goalkeepers. I think Alisson could be decent if you're looking for keepers. You're looking for Liverpool defense if you wanted someone. Alisson, but obviously pricey goalkeeper. We all like cheap goalkeepers. So this is top 10 for the next, basically, until the World Cup. Based off expected points. So
Pickford, fourth. What?
Because of the fixtures. This is why I have him in my team, but he's not performing. But yeah, it's just the fixtures. That's what I'm thinking. And then obviously you have your likes of Pope, Guaita there, Rhea also there. I think Rhea is good, and we'll have a look into that. Anything on this? Thoughts on this? Nope.
Pickford is interesting. Pickford is an interesting pick because Frank Lampard has improved their defending pretty well.
Yeah, they have improved a bit more than It's just they're not keeping clean sheets at the moment, which is a bit annoying. But obviously they faced tough games just before, so I kind of expected no clean sheets. I was expecting more save points. So we'll see how they go next set.
His concern with Pickford is that is he in the World Cup squad?
Who Pickford?
Maybe.
Pickford? Yeah, he will. He's the first pick.
One? Yeah. So again, I guess coming close to the World Cup.
I don't know. But then
Pickford don't do much, really.
And Pickford looks like the kind of guy that won't let his team him down. So I think attackers, I'll be a bit more worried. Goalkeepers, I won't be too worried about goalkeepers. Defense, TAA right on top, followed by Cancelo. Gabriel is there, but I don't know. Saliba is right there as well. I think Ben White is a better option than Gabriel.
Yeah, Ben White is 4.5.
Yeah. And then obviously you have Van Dijk, Robertson, Laporte, and your Spurs defenders and whatnot.
Yeah, I'm surprised Spurs defenders are on that list.
No Trippier though, but I would still keep him.
The only thing I'm a bit concerned is Robertson. I was looking at Robertson as well.
I think he'll get rotated. That's my issue.
Yeah, like we saw today. So that's my only sort of concern, but which is kind of why, kind of appeals you to go for Trent more, right? Because there's less rotation risk.
Yeah. Because there isn't. It's either that or you play Milner at right back, who did really well, but you'd rather play Trent. Yeah. And then obviously in midfield, Salah. Again, Liverpool assets are right on top of this because of their fixtures, mainly because of their fixtures. 3 really good fixtures out of the next 4. You have De Bruyne, you have Saka. Son is there, but fixtures are tough for Spurs, I think. Zaha is there, Foden is there, Martinelli is there. Bowen, also good. After that, I think Sterling and Trossard, I think you win them off. Don't even look at it. Maybe Rashford might come here, but yeah, that's it.
His rotation is too much at Chelsea.
Yeah, no. Don't even touch a Chelsea, I said that at this point. Except for maybe Kepa, don't even think about it.
I think Chelsea, because Potter's come out and said that he prefers rotation.
Yeah.
And he prefers the team game as opposed to, and that's why he loves the 5 sub rule and everything, because he wants to make sure everyone gets.
It's a system manager, right? Not this thing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't touch any Chelsea asset. All of them, bin them all. Basically, set fire to them all. But yeah, no Chelsea assets.
Not even Mason Mount.
No, not the fixtures. I know he's been doing well, but if you look at the fixtures, where is it? United, Brighton, Arsenal, Newcastle.
I mean, apart from Arsenal, they're all winnable games for Chelsea.
Are they high-scoring games though? I highly doubt it.
I don't think so. Did you see how happened to Spurs this morning, bro? And Newcastle have been top of the defensive charts the last 16 weeks. So.
Yeah. Roy is confident. Wait and see. The Chelsea beat Arsenal and Roy will be coming here to like Arteta out. But yeah. So that's midfield. Forward line. We ignore number 1 because if you don't have him, I don't know what you're doing right now. But then you got Harry Kane. You had Darwin Núñez in 3rd, which is interesting. Callum Wilson, if anyone wants, but I think injury is a bit of a problem. Gabriel Jesus, Solanke, cheap, doing well. Fixtures not that great though, I think, going forward. But yeah, and Tony is also here, who is a popular pick amongst your wildcards. So that's basically expected points. Let me move forward to the actual stats. This is sorted by XG prevented. So Alisson is right on top. Kepa as well. Kepa has been having some insane games the last couple of games. He is not going to get dropped. He's just making save after save and getting a lot of bonus points and everything. Pickford is also there, which is why I kind of get him, because this guy is actually going to be making saves. Now the question is, so Karan also mentioned this. He's a bonus point magnet if they keep clean sheets, obviously. But yeah. And then you have Rhea right at the bottom. But if you were to sort this by baseline BPS, Rhea is right at top. He's the one who, out of all the goalkeepers, Rhea gets the most baseline BPS. Thoughts? No thoughts?
No, I think, goalkeepers, in your wild card, especially, you're going to have to get, obviously, you're not worried about your second goalkeeper. You're just going to go for the main goalkeeper and the cheap goalkeeper option. So you can afford to, depending on your funds, go for the premium one if you want to. And, you can always rotate around 4 weeks. So, yeah, I mean, there's obviously a lot of good options in the 4.5 range. There's no definite, straight up goalkeeper. I think there'll be a lot of different options. You're going to see after wildcard, everyone's going to have different goalkeepers. 45 goalkeepers.
I still think if you were to find a keeper right now that has decent fixtures, makes a ton of saves, potential to get clean sheets, it probably would be Rhea at the moment, I think. But
could be Rhea, could be Kepa, could be Sanchez, could be Henderson.
Ushan is playing the game.
But there's also Pickford as well. I mean,
that's right.
It's not as straightforward as you think it is, because I know Rhea's probably going to get swayed a little bit more because he's got the 2 10 points in the last 2 games. There's still a lot of. I don't really think that there's any one correct choice.
No, there probably isn't. For the goalkeeper, there isn't at least. Yeah.
No, the same. Agree.
Yeah.
It's hard to choose.
All right. Moving on. Defense. Trippier right on top. Don't drop Trippier. Basically. Trent. This is why people are still going for Trent. Perisic is there, but I think Perisic has been a disappointment, and I probably wouldn't go there anymore, to be honest. Castanege from Leicester. Reece James is still there, but he's out basically. And then obviously Diego Dalot in there.
Nope.
And then Cancelo is on the list as well.
Yeah, it's a very interesting list, isn't it?
This is season data, by the way.
Yeah.
Not last 6 game weeks.
Not a lot of central defenders.
Rush, you entered the game.
Yeah, I'm gonna. My laptop's gonna die, so I might join.
Yes, apart from Gabriel, Ben Mee, they're all wing backs, like fullbacks.
Most of them, yes. Because it's preferred, like it's sorted by expected goal involvement. So most of the
right, okay, makes sense.
The wing backs are the ones who you end up getting, or at least these stats favor the wing backs because of the high involvement in attack. Yep.
Yeah, I mean Perisic, like stay away from Spurs players, right? I mean Perisic doesn't play.
Fair enough. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Rush, anything to say? No.
No, not really. Not. I mean, they all. I think Trippier is, like you said, don't drop Trippier. Yeah, I think the defensive line. There's a lot more effects on your midfield, so I think the defense is going to be pretty straightforward, on a wild card.
Yep, fair enough. And then obviously midfield, we're moving Salah on top. But this is season data. Saka there, Bowen there, Foden there. That's why you want to see a lot of people on their midfield. And obviously you have Almiron, Zaha in there as well. Odegaard. Thoughts on Odegaard?
No, I mean he doesn't play the full game. He hasn't played a full game for a long time.
Yeah.
Always gets start by 70 minutes. So he just needs one moment from him. He'll give you an assist, he'll give you a goal. So I like him as a player, but probably not as an FPL.
Yep.
No.
Fair enough. And then you have Marcus Rashford as well in that list. So that's your midfield. And then anything else to add on this midfield? Rush? No? Standard?
Not really. I think it's just a combination that we're gonna have to, find. Again, I think the wildcard team, you're gonna have the Arsenal, City players, and depending on the players, you might go for 1 or 2 differentials. But yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward. Again, in terms of wildcard, it's all calling out the big teams and what we saw in the GTPL.
Just mention one thing.
Yes.
Joe Wheelock.
Yes.
He's on the list.
Yes.
And he's probably being overlooked he will be a very good cheap midfielder if you really struggle with
budget and everything.
Quality backup. I think he plays every single game from what I believe, and he does really well.
Yeah, I think he could also be another cheap budget defensive option, budget midfield option. Because I think Andres Pereira, again, like I said, Fulham's after the last 2 fixtures, Fulham aren't great. So if you're looking for someone else, not too bad of a punt. And then finally, forward line, Haaland right on top, Gabriel Jesus in second, Harry Kane in third, and Tony in fourth. That's your forward line. After that, I probably wouldn't look at most people, except for maybe you have Firmino and Nunes very close to each other. The thing with Nunes is, I think he's the moment he's on the pitch, he hogs all the chances. So he's basically, he will be an XG monster, if anything. He'll get a lot of chances. He'll probably put away a few. I think it just takes time for Liverpool to adapt to him, but once they adapt to him, I think he'll be better.
Yeah, why doesn't he play full games?
I think initially Klopp probably didn't trust him enough. And they weren't doing well with him as well. The team didn't gel. Now obviously injuries everywhere. He kind of has to play at this point. That's what I mean.
His hold up play is not as good as Firmino.
Yeah. So that's what. That's the forward line. If you were to take a punt, I think apart from obviously you have your Haaland, Jesus, Kane, Tony. Those 4 are probably set. The one outside punt is Nunes. That's what I think.
What about Firmino?
Could be. The issue is in terms of, I think if you were to pick someone who would play more minutes, I feel like Firmino will get rotated a bit more.
Yeah.
With Champions League and this thing. Cup, like the Premier League games. I don't know what Liverpool's. Let me check Liverpool's status in the Champions League group because I don't know what their situation is in the Champions League.
They're pretty comfortable.
They're pretty comfortable. Okay, so then they should be fine. Yeah. So yeah, maybe Firmino could be a decent option, but again, minutes. But that's the only problem. Minutes are the issue between the two of them.
Yeah.
And then finally, watchlist. This is the watchlist. Basically, based on who will do well, I think. My battery's dying of my mouse. Thoughts? Nothing, Edin?
I think this one more striker that we didn't talk about is Bamford is back, right?
Yes.
From injury.
Yes.
I mean, his XG stats were really high in the last game, I think.
Against Arsenal. Yeah, he just kept on missing chances. I don't think he's fully fit. That I think that's the issue. They don't have a choice, and he's not fully into it, and he probably needs a haircut as well.
But I mean, we can see him tomorrow. He'll probably play tomorrow and then see what happens. And Leicester's Leeds fixtures aren't the best. They have Fulham next week, followed by Liverpool and then Bournemouth. But I guess just players to watch out for. At least for the weeks.
I think jokes aside, I think he's a good pick because they really give Arsenal problems. I mean, Arsenal has been outplaying pretty much everyone since the first game, and that's the first
Except for United.
Oh wow!
Okay.
We know what happened, right?
Yeah.
We know what happened. Should not have lost that game. But the second half against Leeds is the first half I've seen that Arsenal never had control over the game. Tackles flying everywhere. They're pretty good. They stop Arsenal from playing. And Bamford had so many chances.
Fair enough. And obviously teams right now, Rush, 44 points, doing pretty well, and actually has captain still to play. It's doing pretty well.
Punt City.
Punt City. We'll see what happens. And obviously you have Mitrovic as well. Roy still has Andreas and Mitrovic, and this is Roy's team, and myself as well, Andreas and Mitrovic. And you have Ward as well. Maybe something happens there as well. You never know.
Yeah, save a penalty and keep a clean sheet.
Parting gift from Ward.
No pressure.
No pressure. So that's the teams right now. Let me just quickly show the panel team, which is not doing great this week, unfortunately. Cause let me bring up why is it not appearing? There we go. Panel team. Points wise, 37, not great because obviously captain didn't do anything, but it still has Sinistera, Andreas, and Mitrovic to play. Bowen, unfortunate. Defense did pretty well, except for Guehi. So we'll see what happens in those three teams. 37 points, though, not great, but rank is still pretty decent for the panel team. The next game, Victor, the team will look something like... What do we even do this? Like, which... Something like this? With Haaland captain, probably?
Yes, please, yeah.
We need to get rid of Trossard.
Yep, definitely.
We have one free transfer with 0.5 in the bank. For a midfielder.
Are we not getting rid of Harry Kane?
I feel like Trossard is a more important problem than Harry Kane.
As in, take 4-point hit.
Oh. Who are you going to bring in?
I don't know, I'm just thinking...
Possible, if you wanted to. Bournemouth after that, but yeah, it's a possibility.
I think we can keep Kane. He's our punt team, right? So I think think there's no point bringing in Salah and then screwing this team over again. We can just always downgrade to a.
Yeah, fair enough.
Cool.
Funnily enough, Punt team is doing really well because he's doing very well.
Or like a Foden and Nunes, sort of, because you have one Liverpool player.
We could do that if you wanted to.
Anyway, we can think about that. I mean,
Okay, we'll think about it. We'll probably before the deadline we'll make a move. But yeah. And also shout out to Justin, and Zodiac says Kane to Jesus and Trossard to Foden. That's another possibility that we could do. But we need to see with regards to just wait and see Arsenal, see what happens. Hopefully no injuries or anything like that.
Yeah.
That's the panel team. It's at rank 280k, doing pretty well. I need to beat this panel team. Otherwise it's a problem. I need to end my career otherwise. So that's the panel team. And then finally, prices. Nothing at the moment, I guess. Gomez looks like he might go up slightly. Foden also, I might have to move into Foden at the moment. Edward, Quaita, Saka looking like going up. In terms of falls, no one really specific that we own per se. So yeah, that's the price rises. Do you all have time to do a quick wildcard build or stop it here?
Up to you guys.
Yeah, we can.
We can do a quick one. Okay, let's just do a quick wildcard build on FPL.team. And there we go. Okay, so we're going to be doing a quick wildcard build. This is based off just my team value, but who do you guys have in goal? Who are the two goalkeepers you'd have?
Are we going with a cheap one and a good one? Is that the strategy? Because we're talking about only 4 games, right?
Yeah. If you were to build a wildcard, let's say you wanted, now you guys have shown drafts, right? Let's say you wanted to try something different from those drafts. If you wanted to add a few players that you couldn't and you wanted to just see if it's possible, who would you go for?
Go Kepa.
Kepa in goal. Interesting. Would you actually recommend Kepa though at goal?
I think so. I think Chelsea's actually still a solid team. It's
Even
just
with the fixtures.
Yeah, I think so. I think the Brighton game probably is not as bad. Even though Brighton excuse me insane. United, depending on what if it's today or today's United, they might surprise Arsenal, and Newcastle game could be 0-0.
Yeah, true. Fair enough. Okay, we'll have him for now, but I think it's just 0.1 difference between him and another 4.5. In defense, obviously we keep Trippier and Cancelo.
Yeah.
And then the next 2 spots are what you can change. We have Guehi is 4.3. If you want, you can probably keep a 4.3. Who would be other?
I actually do like Webster and Brighton defender for the game week 15-16.
Yeah, not too bad.
So I wouldn't mind keeping them on a bench. But yeah, other defenders. I mean,
so you would have Guehi and Webster on a wildcard, or?
I would definitely either have Webster on a wild card or potentially bring him in at 15. That's one of the options. But yeah, that's about it. Just the one defense from Brighton, no one else.
Yeah, fair enough. Gomez or any other Liverpool? Trent maybe.
Yeah, someone better. Yeah.
Let's try Trent and see what happens. So if you were to fit Trent in here, right? Trossard will obviously go out. You would bring in Foden probably.
Yep.
So Foden in. You have Haaland here. You'll have a 4.3 forward, or you guys would go for? Do you want to try a 4.3 forward and see what it looks like?
Yep.
4.3. Yeah. You getting Solanke? Or...
Ooh, Greenwood, right?
Okay.
Or even Archer, depends on what's the situation. Then obviously your midfield. Okay, so your midfield. You have Salah, you have Foden. You got Martinelli. You can probably go without Salah as well. You have Zaha, Andreas. What would you change?
Well, let's do one without Salah, yeah? Let's do something a bit different.
Oh my god, we'll have so much money.
So who would you bring instead?
Saka.
Saka. Okay.
Yeah.
So you go Saka here. Let me go back to the price. You keep Zaha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you'll have a midfield like this. Anyone else in the midfield you probably change?
Upgrade Andreas
To who?
Yeah.
to anyone who's not 7 million.
Maybe you could upgrade the forward line if you wanted to again.
So you got 3 City, 2 Arsenal.
Mm-hmm. Martinelli, Saka, Foden, Bowen, Zaha,
Maybe we
or
got
Maddison.
Nunes. Maybe we do Mitrovic to Nunes.
Yeah. I think so.
Since we have the money.
This is a suggestion from Zodiac. For midfield, you have Martinelli, Saka, Foden, Bowen, and then Zaha or Maddison. You could do
we
Bowen.
can Bowen, yeah. Well, it's a pretty solid team.
Yeah. And you still have 1.3 million in the bank.
Yeah, that's actually a good team. Without Salah,
Yeah.
the team actually just looks actually much better. Midfield looks stacked.
Your forward line is decent. You could probably... Who do you have for 5.6? Probably can't get anyone at the moment for 5.6.
But depending on team value, you might be able to afford Solanke.
Yeah. Depending on team value, you could afford Solanke. So Rush, I think, might be able to afford Solanke because your team value is slightly higher.
Actually, how much is Iverson? Or Iverson, whatever. Can you drop
3.9.
it? Oh, sorry, 3.9.
Yeah, so if I was to add like Ward here, right? Because probably people will go with Ward. And then, yeah, you could probably upgrade your defender. You could upgrade one more defender if you wanted to. That's another possibility. You could do Greenwood to Solanke. I can't do Greenwood to Solanke, but depending on team value, for anyone who can, could probably go Greenwood to Solanke. I'm 0.4 short. But that's a possibility if anyone
My
wants.
question on this team, right, is that obviously it doesn't have Salah.
Yes.
Can you safely say this team can take you to the next game, 4 game weeks?
Without Salah?
Yes. Are you confident with this team?
So that's what we're talking about, the risk of not having
going
Salah,
without Salah.
right?
Here's the thing, right? If that was the case, then I would go with... I might be tempted to go with another third striker then, just to go the risk without Salah sometimes. Like, you want a goal scorer elsewhere. You need to offset the points somewhere else. Oh, expected points at least.
You need to downgrade Webster to someone cheap and get a better striker in.
You could do that. I don't know, depends on team. But Webster to someone cheap, you probably save at least 0.6, I think. I mean, it depends. It depends on the situation. Like, if you look at this midfield, right, it's pretty stacked. You're not going to drop this midfield at all, most likely. Except for maybe Zaha, I think.
Or Bowen.
To maybe, you could go somewhere like in the last 2 game weeks, you could go Rashford if you wanted to. You could go, I don't know, we could go forward line to Bamford. I don't know what his fixtures are in the last 2. Like, the last 2 game weeks, anything can happen. But I might be comfortable with this team at the moment. The only thing, like I mentioned at the start, is Salah doesn't go to the World Cup. There are players who don't go to the World Cup who come game week 16 will be probably better options to pick. Just because we know that they will play the full 90 minutes in game week 16.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I don't know. This is one possibility for anyone who can try it. For anyone who wants to go without Salah, this is a Darwin's Trent packed midfield, double Arsenal. Obviously, we don't have an Arsenal defender. We could probably put like a Ben White if you wanted to, instead of a Webster. Like, that is a possibility. Then, obviously, I can't afford Solanke, but you could put someone else here. That's another option. You could go a cheaper midfielder if you wanted to, a fifth midfielder. There's a question.
Would you do a double? Like, obviously the one missing. So in order to compensate the fact that you don't have Salah, would you double up with Liverpool? Could you do Darwin, Firmino, and Haaland? So say downgrade Bowen.
You could do something like that. You could, but then Firmino and Darwin together is a risk for minutes, right? That's the only issue. There's a question. Another one is like Salah plus Andreas will cost you 17.4 million. Foden plus Saka will cost you 16.2 million. What do you think will give you the most points in the next 4 game weeks?
Foden, Saka.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's Salah, guys. I feel like we're like discounting Salah.
I know. This is just a discussion, right? We don't have to go without him.
This guy hasn't done much, really.
That's also true. But yeah. So, anyways, this is just a no Salah draft. Let's just put it like that. It's not the draft that you guys might go with, but this is a no Salah draft for anyone who's watching and wants to try a draft. This is another possibility that you could probably do. So yeah, having said all of that, that is it. We'll end it there. Thank you to Roy. Thank you to Rush for joining me. And we will see you all. I'll be seeing you guys for the deadline stream on Saturday. So yeah, having anything else to add?
No. Pretty good.
Just happy tinkering with the wildcard. I hate this time until the game week starts where I just keep changing my team like 5 million times. But okay. I guess one final topic before we go is captaincy options. Are we gonna Haaland or Salah? Is that
Haaland for me? He had a 1 week break. That's even worse.
Well, it's a tricky one, right? Brighton's defense is actually...
Don't do it, Roy. Don't do it. I did it, and now I'm at 1 million. Don't do it.
Don't overthink it.
You're at a good rank. Don't do it. Learn the lesson from me. This is where I am at for going against it.
Right. Point taken.
Point taken, yes. Okay, so having said all of that, thank you all. Thank you to Zodiac, thank you to Justin, thank you to Tin, thank you to Merka as well, everyone who was in the chat and everyone who will watch this later. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and we'll see you all later.
Bye.
I'm walking alone, the streets are empty. The only thing I can see is my own silhouette.